In the previous video, we talked about project management, gave some ideas of the concepts, where we were with project management today and the importance of it in the business world. However, it's important now to go ahead and talk about project definition and discuss what it means to define a project. From that, the most important and the most difficult part of a project truly is this beginning phase. Because what's happening in this beginning phase is that if it's not done carefully, the project has very small chance of success. Also, if it's done carelessly or not at all, the project really will not work. It's just going to fail. And so as we get into this idea of getting ready to do project management, defining the project up front really is 50% or more of the battle. So with the project definition, let's look real quick at what needs to happen before a project even starts. We need to look at why we're doing the project. What's the purpose of it? What's the objective? How many people are going to be needed to get this project completed? What are the skills that we need from these people? What's our budget? Are there any things along the way that we need to come up with that we call deliverables? Also, we need to know when does it have to be done, and the last thing is how will you do it? What are the steps that have to be done to work this from the very beginning to the very end of it? So, projects are supposed to be limited time and duration and have a specified end state. That helps us determine what the project scope is. Along with this, however, we've often finds that these projects last much longer than they were intended, and the reason for that is we have what they call scope creep. We think we've defined the problem, we get into our project, we start working, and then find out that what has happened is we can't do the project the way that we planned because we didn't consider all of the other things that were going on. So the scope changes, or the customer that we're doing this for or working for changes what the overall objective is. So our scope changes in some way to make us go into this area that we call scope creep, which means that we can't get the project done nearly as quickly as we thought we could. That leads us to how do we make sure that this doesn't happen in the future for us and for projects that we are managing. One way to do that is to treat the project like a contract. We need to know the who's, the what, the whys, the whens, the how long, the how much, and the why we are doing this project. So, define what must be done first. We talked about that in a previous slide. The definition must be done. What does the client want that we can provide them? Second, what does it not include? This seems to be a very obvious question, however, one that we often overlook. As you start to agree with somebody on what you are going to do, again, treat it like a contract. What will I do? What will I not do? Next, state the required resources that you need. Include time as one of those resources. If you're going to do something and your boss tells you that it needs to be done, you need to first of all ask, how much time do I have to get that done? Time is a resource and you need to manage it as such. Finally, you need to talk in here about who will provide those resources. Some of the resources you provide, some of the resources you don't have. You don't control those other resources, like people or equipment, things like that. And then specify the completion criteria for all the deliverables. What will you do? What will it look like whenever it's delivered? Who's going to provide the resources? And then define who on the other side is going to accept each one of these deliverables as they get done. The next steps that we're going to work through on this is, now that you understand the concepts of project management and you know when project management is needed, you know how to treat it like a contract, now it's time for us to go in and start formalizing the process of project management.